So the people who will go in there and extract this information through some code-like language called SQL, and then use that information to deduce what is beneficial, for example, to this company in terms of, can you go to that data and extract information and analyze that information so that Walmart as a company, for example, would know what products customers are actually buying and what products are giving us the most profit so that we can focus on that product. So data analytics people are the people who are given access to this big data, and by some codes called SQL, because it's a heap of data. So you need to have some means of filtering this data and getting what you want. So through SQL, they are now able to extract that information, and then they will now use a program like Excel to analyze the extracted info from the big data, and then go ahead to use maybe a program like Power BI to present this information, even though they are data, present them in graphical form that will make sense to the ordinary person. Not everybody is analytics driven. So if you hear MDs and product managers giving presentation and showing graphs about, okay, this is how far we have come based on our business experience in the last 10 years. This is the prediction. This is how we are going. In the next 1 year, we expect to do this. All of that is based on data drawn by data analytics people, analyzed and then presented in graphical form using Power BI. So do you get the place of data analytics now? So data analytics will simply be people who access company data to draw, depending on the department you are working for, you can draw literally every kind of data. You can draw data for the financial department to predict things that have to do with money, what should we buy, where should we invest in, what should we not do and do. You could work for virtually any department. It will just be a matter of extracting from the data warehouse the kind of data that is relevant to that department and then analyzing it to get the kind of prediction that department is looking for, right? So for this one, you need tools. IT is always about tools. IT is actually is engineering, but just like you use tools, engineering tools in the real world, in the physical world, in IT, we also use tools to do our IT engineering. But those tools are programs, they are services. So when we talked about SQL, we talk about Power BI and all of these other tools we'll be talking about, they are all tools available in virtual forms, because we are talking about virtual environment now. You don't talk about physical environment. So we're also talking about tools in virtual forms. So these are the tools that you need to be able to do your work as a data analyst. So as a data analytics person, you must know SQL. You must know how to use Excel beyond just doing simple calculations. It should be, there's something called what if analysis, your pivot, your dashboard, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, Excel is the core thing, actually. But in order to make this, the conclusion of your analysis, visible in ways that will make sense to people that are not necessarily IT inclined, for example, the owner of the business and the directors, and even the ordinary man on the street that does not know the IT implications of your data. All they just want to see is, if I put 5 naira there, what do I get in 3 years' time? That's all they want to know, not about the details. Then you need to be able to present that kind of scenario in graphical forms. You know what I mean by graphical forms? Like pie chart or bar chart or something graphic, just to say, okay, this is the trend. If you put money here today, this is what you are likely to get in 3 years' time or in 5 years' time. That kind of presentation in graphical format, you need another kind of tool. Generally, again, when we talk about tools, usually there is not one tool only, but it's just that we adapt one tool. I mean, one of the many tools become more popular than the other. So we'll find ourselves talking about one tool, even though there are many. But in this case, Power BI will be the appropriate tool for it, right? So do you get the place of data analytics now and the tools that you need to be able to use before you can say, yes, I can do data analytics? So data analytics is, again, when we say IT, the real IT, the core IT is cloud. So data analytics is not like, yes, it is IT, but it's it's not like it's not like top there. It's okay. For example, in the US, data analytics job would be like 60,000, 70,000 per annum, kind of, compared to cloud automation, where you can be talking about not just talking about 150, 160,000, but per annum, but the opportunities that are available around that 160, 170,000 can even double that figure, so that ultimately you could be doing 300,000 and so on and so forth. So there is possibility as a cloud engineer to earn 250 and above, but definitely not with data analytics. So I want to conclude by saying data analytics will be for people who are not really so IT inclined, but just want to come into it. All right. So that's about data analytics. Then the other aspect, another kind of training we do is clinical data management. What is clinical data management? Clinical data management is when for every drug, every medicine that you see out there that you go to buy that solves one form of ailment or the other, the manufacturers of that medicine, of that drug, did not just manufacture it and pump it into the market. No. Excuse me. The procedure for releasing medicine to the market and for getting humans to come buy and use your medicine is that, so there is this process called, from the point when you first of all manufactured the drug in its crude form, between that point and the point when you eventually release this drug to the market, it has to go through what we call trial. And this trial would pass through different phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then phase 4. At every stage during this trial, from this point to this point, from that point to this point, data is gathered about who and who is taking this drug. When they take the drug, did the drug solve the problem? Did it resolve the issue that it was meant to solve? For example, the person who was suffering from cancer, did he get healed? All right. So this is what happens from this phase to that phase to that phase, until at some point here, at some point, you would have gathered enough data from this stage at this before the fourth stage for you to say, yes, I have enough data now to present to the people in charge of drug administration. In the US, they are called FDA. All right, to approve this drug and say, yes, having passed through all of these stages of the drug research and clinical trial, we have found this drug to be okay. We have found this drug to be effective, to be efficient in whatever they claim to do. Therefore, it has passed and we are now releasing it to the market. There are so many people and so many stakeholders around this research from stage 1 to stage 3.